I couldn't have anticipated how extraordinary the evening would become. My husband, Jack, had been working long hours at his company, putting every ounce of himself into his projects. He was talented and hardworking, and his boss, Richard, had taken notice. Richard, in his early 50s, carried himself with an air of quiet authority. His salt and pepper hair and piercing blue eyes gave him an almost intimidating presence, but there was something warm about his smile that made him approachable. Jack often spoke highly of him, and when the invitation to join Richard and his wife for dinner arrived, I was eager to meet the man who held such influence in my husband's career. The evening began simply enough. I chose a classic navy dress, one I knew Jack loved, and paired it with understated pearl earrings. Jack seemed nervous, fiddling with his tie as we drove to Richard's home. I squeezed his hand reassuringly. "You've got this," I said, offering a smile. "Richard clearly respects you. Tonight will go smoothly." Richard's house was a masterpiece of modern design, all glass and clean lines. The lights from inside illuminated the driveway, giving the house an almost ethereal glow. As we stepped inside, Richard greeted us warmly, his handshake firm but not overbearing. "It's wonderful to finally meet you, Claire," he said, his voice smooth and measured. "Jack has spoken so highly of you." The dining room was immaculate, a long oak table adorned with crystal glasses, and a centerpiece of fresh flowers. Richard's wife, Evelyn, was unexpectedly absent, and he explained with a hint of regret that she had been called away for an emergency. "I hope you'll still enjoy the evening," he said, pouring wine into our glasses. Dinner started off as most do, pleasant conversation, delicious food, and the occasional laugh. Richard had a way of commanding attention without effort, weaving stories of his career and travels with an ease that made time slip away. Yet, as the evening progressed, I began to sense something unspoken in his demeanor, a tension that lingered beneath his polite exterior. At one point, Jack excused himself to take a call, leaving Richard and me alone at the table. The silence between us wasn't uncomfortable, but it was charged. I took a sip of my wine, unsure of how to fill the void. "You're an impressive woman, Claire," Richard said, his voice softer now, more personal. "It's clear Jack relies on your support." "That's rare." I felt a flush of pride but also a flicker of something else, something I couldn't quite name. "Thank you," I replied. "Jack and I have always been a team." Richard leaned back in his chair, studying me for a moment. "I see that. It's refreshing, honestly. Too many people forget how important partnership is, especially in this world." His words felt layered, carrying a depth that wasn't immediately apparent. Before I could respond, Jack returned, his presence breaking the moment. But as the night wore on, I couldn't shake the feeling that Richard had seen something in me, something beyond the surface. Yes, the evening drew to a close. Richard offered us a nightcap in his spacious living room. The atmosphere had shifted, it felt more intimate now, the light from the fireplace casting a warm glow. Jack, perhaps too relaxed after a few glasses of wine, began recounting stories from our early days of marriage, his laughter filling the room. Richard listened intently, his gaze occasionally flickering to me. When Jack excused himself again, this time for a trip to the restroom, Richard took the opportunity to speak. "Claire," he began, his voice low, "I hope you know how much Jack admires you. It's evident in everything he does." His words caught me off guard. There was sincerity in his tone, but there was also something else, something that felt like admiration. I met his gaze, and for a moment, the world seemed to narrow, leaving only the two of us in the room. "Thank you, Richard," I said, my voice steady despite the flutter in my chest. "That means a lot." He leaned forward slightly, his expression unreadable. "It's rare to meet someone who carries themselves with such grace. Jack is a lucky man." The air between us felt heavy, charged with unspoken possibilities. But before anything more could be said, Jack returned, oblivious to the moment he had